JackKimball has been very active in the last year and a half, 2 years now. He ran for governor in the gubernatorial primary, ran a very strong campaign out of Portsmouth, and since that time worked actually to help John Stephen in his campaign for governor, which was really the way we like to see things done, a unified party. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce JackKimball, our new state party chairman.
Well, good evening, everybody. And Alan, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
You sent me an email before your election, and I told you I'd be glad to work with you. That was before I was elected.
Yep.
Anyway, so I just thought I was trying to be presumptuous, but I did send him that email. Could I have all of the state reps in the room please stand up? There's a lot of you here tonight. I want a round of applause to these folks. I'm telling you, I'm so pleased to see the legislation that's coming out. Thank you very much, guys. I'm telling you. And Jeannie, congratulations to you. And it's great. I got to meet the Senate the other day. I think what I'm going to do tonight is just fill you in on what we have been doing and what we intend to do. As you know, most of the state GOP staff, all of them, moved on. And we knew that was going to happen before the election. Since we didn't know who was going to be elected, the decision that I made, I'm a businessman first and foremost, was to ask a transition team to be ready to move in should I win and transition into the offices, learn everything that we needed to learn so that I can take my time and hire the right people as staff. That transition team consisted of Jeff Chittister, Chris Buck. A lot of you don't know Chris, but he's from down my way, just a brilliant young man. And of course, some of that you all know, Jennifer Horn. It really worked out extraordinarily well. We had BJ Perry helped us out, and we had a couple of the other staffers that stayed on for a few days. We didn't get a lot of exposure, but they're local, so they're still helping us out as we need it. And it worked out very, very well. We hired our ED last week. I'm very proud that Will came on board. We were thrilled to find that he was available. And he started last week, and we hired, and she started Monday, our communications director, Christine Barada. And she was the prior communications director for Jim Bender's campaign. So some of you may have met her, many of you maybe haven't, but she's just wonderful. So we have both of those positions on board now, and we're moving down the football field in earnest. And I usually use analogies attributable to football, although the Super Bowl was really, that was something, wasn't it? But anyway, so what we have done, after we got on board and got the transition team, and they're still on board, we're still going to keep them on board with a little overlap for another week, week and a half. But we've already planned. We've got a fundraising letter going out next week. We've got 2 other fundraisers in March that we're planning. We're going to get aggressive on that. And you should know that we're thinking out of the box on some of these things. I think fundraising has to become a top priority. So I am making it a top priority for our state GOP. We are going to have an extensive finance committee. And it's going to be primarily consisting of businessmen, successful businessmen in New Hampshire that are influential. And the chairs are Jim Bender and Bill Binney, but we're going to have easily another 10 to 12. Most of those folks you'll know. We're going to set up a press release next week, and you'll see who they're going to be. Their emphasis is going to be solely on helping us get back into the business community with fundraising, and they're also going to obviously be directly responsible for that effort. You should also know that I'm going to do things a little differently. You're probably not surprised. Fundraising being a priority, we have decided to bring somebody on. I can't announce who that is yet, but somebody on whose full-time position is going to revolve around that. We're going to, I'm going to tell you right now, my promise is our focus is going to be to really get out and compete with the Democrats revenue-wise. There's no reason why we can't. We, as Republicans, and we should be the mainstay people who support the business community. The legislation that is coming and being passed, some of them are with the tax relief for small businesses, Hopefully we'll see some regulatory relief. You're not going to see that from the Democrats. It's just the reverse. I mean, when you're the highest corporately taxed state in the country, it doesn't bode very well for business. If you want to get them back, then prove your mettle and give them some tax relief and give them some regulatory relief, and they'll come back in spades because it's an investment. And if you can take a businessman like myself and say, hey, look, we give you tax relief and regulatory relief that's going to produce an additional $50,000 to $60,000 in savings for you a year, I don't mind giving back 10 to the state GOP, because I want to make sure that we keep Republicans in the majority. So that's very important. The other thing is this: we've got to make certain that we put forth a good, strong, conservative governor, a Republican governor this time around in 2012. That has to be a top priority. And because we now know we got probably the most impacting presidential period coming up, and we're going to see, I mean, we haven't had a lot of people announce at all. I don't think there's only been one, but they'll be coming in probably in a couple months. And just seeing the lay of the land, and we've seen some of them come in already, you know, Senator Rick Santorum, Governor Tim Pawlenty, Herman Cain, which is one of the speakers that we've got coming. He, I think, is, if he hasn't already announced, he's probably going to. But you're going to have Mitt Romney, of course. So you're going to have Michelle Bachmann probably might run. It doesn't matter. At this stage, I'm looking at a field that any one of them are head and shoulders above Barack Obama. So, you know, we've got a good problem, not a bad problem, don't you think? I want you to know that my goals for the party is, first of all, keeping it unified. You know, we have a lot of new people in the State House. We've got a lot of new reps, a lot of freshmen that have come in that are now just brand new activists, first time they've ever run for office and been elected. And then we also have a lot of, I've met a lot of you, a lot of long-time Republican activists that I'm so very proud of, and I've gotten to meet you. And we've established very strong relationships. I think I can be that bridge from you to the new folks, because I'm part of that crowd, and I'm proud of that too, but we've also got to make sure that we meld. And the important thing is to keep the party growing. You know, I personally don't like having 30% Republicans and 30% Democrats in the state and 40% in the middle. How about we take about 20–25% from the middle and put them back where they belong in the Republican Party and make sure that they stay there? And I think we do that by staying and keeping to our conservative values and keeping a close eye on our conservative platform that we have. You know, we don't agree on everything, but we agree on most things. And that has to be good enough at this time in our country. Because quite frankly, if we can't, we're not going to have the country. We are not going to have the country that we are so proud of and so used to. Our kids and our grandkids aren't going to grow up with the benefits and the freedoms that we were so blessed to have. So for me, I come into this as a patriot. I don't come into this as a politician. The reason why I made the decision to even do this was because I felt, look, if the folks want me to do this, it's not about me, I'll do it. The pay isn't all that great. It's not for the money. So what I want to do is expand the Republican Party in every single county. We have got to have reach out. One of the things you can do is just have independent socials. You can have them at your house. You can just invite people that you know aren't showing up here, but neighbors, friends that are maybe conservative, and you know they're not active. You hadn't seen them at any meeting. Just have a social. Spring comes, have a cookout. But just do it on your own. Try to get them to sign up and come to these meetings. You'd be surprised. It wouldn't take much. They want to belong. It's really important. The other thing we're going to do, and I already started, we've got to really reach out to the younger folks. And look around this room. And I have to say, not that I'm part of you guys, don't take offense. But I know. But clearly, you know, what I saw even during the gubernatorial campaign is that when I went out and spoke to people, you know, the average age was 50 and above. We didn't see any of the younger kids, the college kids, the kids in their 20s, you know. So we've got to do a far better job of getting them involved. They're the future. So what we're going to do is a big reach out. You know, I want to get into the college campuses. I went to UNH. They have the UNH Republicans. It was a big group. I was surprised. That's a pretty liberal campus over there. So they have this big core nucleus group, and they said, well, what do you want us to do? And my comment to them was, no. It's not what I want you to do. I said, you know the dynamic on your campus better than anybody. Look at all the brain power in this room. There's about 40 of them. Put your heads together. Come up with a template. Reach out to other people on this campus. Use your social medias. You're great at it. Far better than us older folks, you know. But the kids, they're great at it. So we want to challenge them to come up with ways, you know, best practices to try to expand the size and scope of the party on campus. And then we want to meld them with the young Republicans. We already have the young Republicans. So what we want to try to do is marry them up so that we can get a much broader group of young folks involved in our party. And that also means that we want to see them show up at these meetings. They've got to be part. They've got to be part of what we're doing. It's so critical. Of course, it would help if we had a few more conservative professors. That would help, you know. But we've got to do what I think is necessary right now, and the here and now dictates that. See, the other thing that we're going to do, we're going to try very hard to structure a plan which we can then disseminate to all of the county chairs. It basically says, and it's just going to be out-of-the-box type of thinking, ways to reach out and get some additional folks on board in the Republican Party. Very simple things that we can do, but we want to try to make sure that everyone's on the same page. The other thing, we've got to have consistent messaging. And consistent messaging it really requires that we, my staff, be involved at the State House. So that we're going to, every week, have our Director of Communications, and sometimes we'll be there on Mondays. We'll find out what legislation you're working on. We'll find out what's going on. We'll be able to speak with Greg Moore, who's now working for Bill O'Brien, and we'll make sure that my folks also are on board, and we have a consistent message that we can put out at both the State House and at the We have got to be organized, and we've got to be armed. The Democrats, you can already see it. If you look right now at the op-eds, if you look right now at the letters to the editor, it is completely awash with Democrat reactionaries and activists. And we have got to be able to compete with that. Of course, they're a little upset. I mean, they just got their butts kicked. I mean, and I think, you know, royally, and so they're going to be like hornets for the next couple of years. Believe me, this isn't going to be fun with them. But we know what's coming. But we got to push back. You know, we can't just sit idle. So we got to have teams of people that are willing to write letters to the editor. In every single county, every single town, even if it's only one person who takes that responsibility on, you'll get consistency and you'll get those letters out all the time. They're doing it. We can do it.
Yeah, Jack, are you going to have a response to the governor's budget?
Yeah, we'll put something out.
Right.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm still going to be enjoying this stuff, you know, especially with Ray Buckley. I'm waiting for that day. But,
Say date.
Are you bringing someone on to help with communications for the party? Because what I've seen in the last couple of times, the speaker and the DJ Betancourt, they put out press releases. They've done them at the LOB. And you go into the newspaper the next day, and you don't see anything on TV at night on what they said. You go into the newspaper the next day, and you find out that what they said was massaged to make it even sound not really what it was. And I just went through a bunch of people writing into the letters to the editor on one of the websites, and after they announced it's going to be a 2% decrease in the budget, everybody, basically Republicans, were going, "Is that all we get?" You know, and so I don't think there's a good enough communication.
Well, that's precisely what I was getting at. We just hired a director of communications right in my office. That was Christine Barata, and so her responsibility is going to be just that. But we also got to make sure, and don't forget, I mean, the Democrats have been taking advantage of the fact that we're just getting organized now. They didn't have to change anything up. They just kept right on going. So we're in the midst of this transition. So that, you know, Kathy Sullivan's been doing her thing, you know, and she's been getting that stuff out there. So we got to make sure that we're talking to the people at the State House.
Well, my issue is that the leadership is so busy with the budget trying to fill the holes that they're not seeing the bigger picture that's around them. and they're concentrating so hard on the budget to get it right that you know, maybe a little help from the outside or some kind of influence.
Well, I agree, and that's what we'll do. We'll help them out with that, and that's our job too, is to watch their backs, watch your backs, and make sure that the message is there and it's consistent and it's
and make
accurate.
it correct instead of, you know.
Yeah, well, we have to rely too on the data and information that we're providing. That's the other thing. So, but we'll get really good at this. It's going to take a little bit of time. Just be patient, but watch how we do. Again, I'm a businessman, and I believe in organization. I believe in redundancy, and I believe that your messaging has to be consistent. You can't have the state house folks and the leadership there saying one thing, and then my office saying another. We've really got to make sure we're watching each other's backs. Any other questions?
Jack, isn't that the purpose of them hiring Greg Moore in there?
Precisely. Al just brought up a great point. Greg Moore was brought on as a person. He's a political communication specialist, and he's very good. And so his job is going to be to take care of just what you're talking about. But we already are talking with Greg. Right. So that's the whole plan. Another week or two, you'll start seeing some really good stuff, and it'll make all the difference. The other thing I want to say, too, is I'm anxious to work with Alan. We've had a great relationship over the many months. When I was running, the people who called me right after the election was over were Tim Pawlenty, Mitt Romney, Herman Cain, Charlie Bass. We had a great talk. Charlie was just wonderful. And Kelly Ayotte called and also said there's a $10,000 check coming, so that was a really good call. I haven't blackmailed Frank and Charlie yet, so I'll make those calls probably tomorrow or the next day. We got a great contingent in D.C., don't we? I mean, we have really done a great job. All you deserve such a round of applause. You should just all applaud for yourselves. This is great. No, seriously, I walked the night of the November 2nd. I had worked very hard with John Stevens because, and we became good friends. Sean and I are friends. And it was easy for me to team up with John because the goal was simple: defeat John Lynch. I mean, that wasn't hard, so I was glad to help him out. I felt terrible that night that he had lost. That was the only thing that we didn't get. And so I had a plan for the evening. Go to Kelly Ayotte's event first. That'll be over the earliest. I figured that was going to be early. And it took much too long. They wouldn't let, they had it was Dancing with the Stars had to finish before they would let Kelly come on at 9 o'clock, and she had already won. That's the truth. I couldn't believe it. They wouldn't let the preemption occur. They had to have Dancing with the Stars on it. So then I ran across to Charlie Bassett because he was in the same building, but his was closed, so that wasn't going to get decided right away. So I jumped in my truck and I ran down to John Stevens, and on the way down he conceded. And I couldn't believe it because it was kind of a tie. I mean, I said, well, how can that be? So when I walked in the room, it was very somber. And I walked up to one of the people in the room, and I hugged John. I felt terrible for him. And then I walked over to this other individual, and I said, look, I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on right now tonight. I said, I think we've got 4 out of the 5 executive council seats. And he goes, no, 5 out of 5. And he's whispering. And I said, well, how are we doing with the state rep? He says, we got 298. It's veto-proof. And we got, at the time, we thought we had 20 out of 24 state senate seats. But we wound up at 19. Lou D'Alessandro was close, but he won. And when I found that out, I got so excited. And I felt bad. I looked over and John was, I said, I got to get out of here and get to Frank Gintz's event. That's where I got to go. So I jumped in my car and went right up to Frank's event, and we partied, we danced, That was a night, wasn't it? I mean, really, whoever would have thought? It was just phenomenal. So we have some great plans. You're going to see actions speak louder than words. Just keep your eyes on what you're about to witness in the next several months, and I'm telling you, you're going to be pleased. We're going to make sure that we move the ball down the field and make things even better in the ensuing next couple of years. Will is on board. I'm excited. I'm excited about him. I'm excited about Christine. And you are going to be excited about what we announce next week. We haven't missed a beat. Everything's gone very smoothly. And I look forward to the coming next 2 years. And by the way, Will said he would commit for the 2 years. He's not going anywhere. Christine, same thing. Obviously myself. So that's going to be the criteria that we hire people in the state offices. We want consistency. We don't want anyone going anywhere, and that's the way it's going to be. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
I think we've got the blueprint here for some great success in the next 2 years, and hopefully in 2012 we'll. Well, what is it? You see the bumper stickers that say, I think it's January 20th, 2013. That's the date of the inauguration for the next president of the United States. So
The end of an
we have
era.
to focus on.